The Creator is one of my most anticipated movies of the year. It is directed by Gareth Edwards, who directed Rogue One and the 2014 Godzilla. It is co-written by him and Chris Weitz from a story by him. It stars John David Washington, Gemma Chan, Allison Janney, and Ken Watanabe. Amid a future war between the human race and forces of artificial intelligence, Joshua, a hardened ex-special forces agent grieving the disappearance of his wife, is recruited to hunt down and kill the Creator, the elusive architect of advanced AI who has developed a mysterious weapon with the power to end the war and mankind itself. The Creator might be the best original sci-fi movie we've had since Blade Runner 2049. No, Dune does not count. I'm sorry. It's not that good. This movie nearly blew me away. It is such a visual spectacle. Have Greg Fraser be the director of photography for every big budget movie like this. Or, I mean, I shouldn't even say this is a big budget because it's only an $80 million budget. So it just shows you what you can do with a budget as minuscule as that for something that feels like it looks like a $250 million movie. And it's not. It's only $80 million. The visual effects here are so seamless, and the landscapes and the cinematography is just so beautiful and lush, just creating certain colors and color palettes. Really showcases a war-torn future for mankind and artificial intelligence, but the visual effects, I would not be surprised if this gets nominated and wins for visual effects, because the visual effects in this movie are so seamless. You can't even tell when things are CGI'd. You think everything is real. It's almost as if they created all these different aircrafts and all these different weapons. I mean, I could tell that there was a weapon inspired by the pistol from Halo and just created them from scratch, from tangible items that we use in everyday life. This movie's visual effects feel so much like an advancement forward compared to most other big budget blockbusters that we've gotten recently. And the concept of mankind going up against AI in this movie, look, it's something that's been brought up in previous movies. I mean, this is the second movie to deal with it this year. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning dealt with AI. This movie deals with AI. It's a very real thing that for a lot of people, and when you really think about it, is pretty scary. I mean, we didn't go through 6 Terminator films about AI becoming self-aware to just be like, oh yeah, let's just do stuff with AI because that's a smart idea. Those movies warned us. So did Age of Ultron. When Ultron becomes self-aware and he starts taking over the universe and the Avengers have to go get him. We need to watch movies like that. It's so relevant. You know, it feels so rooted in the present, but also very rooted in the future. It feels so tangible in the future. It feels like it's attainable in the future. And that's what makes it scary. But what makes it even scarier is that we're potentially dealing with AI in the present right now. I mean, the whole writer's strike, a lot of the stuff was dealing with AI. Every time I read about it, I was like, these studio heads have to know. Did they not watch Terminator? Because that's my big takeaway on the AI in this movie. It gives you a presentation of that concept. Whether it follows through on that concept, we'll get into that later. The performances all across the board are fantastic. I mean, John David Washington is always going to give you a great performance no matter the quality of the movie. He seems as selective as his father is about the projects that he takes. He's Denzel's son. Denzel's the GOAT. He's an acting legend. So, of course, his son is going to be an acting legend as well. Allison Janney, I thought, did really good as the villain in this movie. I wanted to see a little bit more of her towards the last 20, 25 minutes or so, but I understand what her goal was. I understand why she was doing everything. And it really presented some moral dilemmas. And that's really the best part of the characters in this movie, other than being just this sci-fi spectacle that really wants to blow your mind with visuals. This movie also really boils down to being a character study and a character drama. And it's about the choices and the moral dilemmas that these characters had to face. For instance, John David Washington's character, Joshua, has to escort this little girl who is artificial intelligence across this war-torn wasteland, and he's making moral decisions about, should I even do this? Is this right? Is this wrong? My whole objective is to get her to a certain checkpoint so I can attain something else. And the more that they learn about each other along the way, the more that they gain an emotional connection. And I've seen people say that this movie is emotionally hollow. I didn't feel that way. I felt that this was as emotionally resonant as something like The Last of Us. It feels very inspired by The Last of Us, but it also feels very inspired by other sci-fi movies without directly ripping them off or taking certain elements from them. And I think that that's what great movies can do. You can look at some of your influences and not necessarily recreate scene by scene from a movie or a video game, but just take certain ideas and expand upon them, or make something your own from those ideas. And that's what this movie does. But the moral decisions and the dilemmas that the characters have to face about what to do in this situation with this war between AI and humans, it was a very interesting concept, and I think the movie actually handled it very well. It does take a very subtle approach to the artificial intelligence concept, though, but I'm not saying that as a bad thing necessarily. It's not a movie that requires all that much thinking. It's a very straightforward plot, something that is easy to follow, but it also is just like, okay, whatever your opinion is, that's kind of right. There's no right or wrong answer. You know, in like English classes, how your teachers or professors are all like, hey, what do you think this means? And you give your opinion on it, and they say, no, that's not what it means. Think a little bit deeper. When you're just giving your opinion on something, I always hated that because I was like, that's just how I feel. Maybe how you feel, like, yeah, you think you're right, but you got to look at my perspective as well. And so this movie really asks its audience to look at both perspectives, and whatever your opinion is, it's going to tell you to just roll with it, however you feel about it. There's all this gray area. Nothing's black and white in this movie. It's all gray areas, and that's fine. I just think that the messaging could have been a little bit better with this movie, despite how lived in this world feels and how relevant it is, and all of what I just said about forming your own opinion on AI. I think that this movie could have dug a little bit deeper below the surface into that concept, and I think it would have hit home a little bit more. But at the core of this movie, it is a character drama about essentially what feels like a father-daughter story, and the moral decisions that they make with some very great action set pieces. Gareth Edwards really knows how to assemble a great action set piece. I don't think anything topped the first action set piece that occurs about 25 minutes into the movie, although there is one towards the end of the second act where I was just like, this is fucking intense. And what makes all these sequences, or most of these sequences, intense is the very minimalistic use of a musical score from Hans Zimmer. It makes all these numerous battles and this war-torn landscape feel so much more lived in than you feel like it should. You feel like you're there. You feel like your boots on the ground. You feel like you're partaking in everything that's happening in this world. So other than this movie missing a little bit of digging deeper into the concept of humans versus artificial intelligence, this was a near perfect sci-fi movie for me. I thought that this was really, really riveting, and the fact that it could mix some great set pieces but also deliver the character drama and the emotional core, I think really elevate this past a lot of recent sci-fi movies, or at least original sci-fi movies. This is probably the best one since Blade Runner 2049. I really, really loved The Creator with a full bucket of popcorn. So if you guys have seen The Creator, let me know what you think about it in the comments section below. I will leave my link to my website or my link tree in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.